Got it. Thanks for reminding me.
Okay. All right. So coming to you all live today from Washington, D.C. I am out here for meetings with the State ERate Coordinators Association. And so happy to be able to join you guys here in past times, since I'm at 4:30 and you guys are at 3:30. Let me see if I'm going to close my little window of myself. And we'll get started. So welcome to the ERate webinar for today. One of our focuses for today and our reason for scheduling the webinar is some upcoming deadlines that we're going to talk about. And so first, before we get started, my name is Mindy Fiscus. I am the Learning Technology Center's Digital Access Coordinator, AKA also State ERate Coordinator. I am one of two. We have another State ERate Coordinator who resides at the Illinois State Board of Education, and I'll be talking about Eric here shortly. I am also one of the lead players of the Illinois Classroom Connectivity Project with other team members from the LTC, the State Board of Ed, the Governor's Office, and our state network. So happy to be a part of that. And I also serve as the state representative on several national organizations, and so happy to be able to join you all today. I wanted to take a minute and just do a quick slide to point out all of our regional support people who are new to the LTC, as well as our statewide support people. And while I'm here, please don't worry about jotting down all of this information or trying to capture people's email addresses here. I do have a bit.ly at the end of the slide, at the end of the slideshow, that will provide you guys access to this slideshow. I just didn't want to give it to you at the beginning for fear that everybody would be jumping in at the same time we're trying to present. So I will be providing the slides at the end. But as you can see, we're pretty excited to have our whole team laid out for us now at the LTC, all of us residing statewide. And so please take a minute to reach out to our new team members if you are in their area and welcome them to the state LTC. Brian's going to be kind of monitoring our Q&A as we go through the presentation today. I'm going to try to answer questions as well. But we're going to talk a little bit about deadlines and timelines today. That was our main focus, but I do want to stress the importance of some opportunities we have for our state. So we're going to talk a little bit about the state match, the workshops that we're going to have this year to support ERate, and those state contracts that are available. And I've got some updates we're going to do today too. So to jump right in, first I want to point out up here at the top, USAC does have an application flowchart on their website. So I've provided a link to you. If you are new to ERate, it is a great place to start. It will outline for you all of the various forms and deadlines that we have for ERate. They start in order with the 470 form. And so I wanted to point out that our 470 form for the next school year, FY19 is now open. That is a typo on my end, so I will fix that. But it is FY19 form for the 1920 school year is now open, and it will be due approximately February 20th of next year. That is 28 days before the 471 deadline. The reason why we have an approximate there is because we have been told prospective dates for when the forms will be due this year, but nothing has been finalized yet. So we are expecting a deadline of our 471 this year on March 20th, which gives our 28-day timeline approximately February 20th. So those are the deadlines coming forth this year for next school year. Wanted to get those out to you as soon as I knew them. Please note that our 471 forms are required every year. Even if you were in the middle of a multi-year contract, the 471 forms are due every year. It's that 470 form that can be a little optional if you were in the middle of a contract. So just wanted to point that out while we were talking about forms. The two in red are the important ones to stress today. These are last year, the year before forms. So this current school year, we are looking at the 486 deadline, which is due October 28th. So if you have received a funding commitment letter from USAC, you have 120 days after that letter is dated or after the start of services. And a lot of those letters came in early this year before July 1st. So if you received a funding commitment letter on any of your services prior to July 1st. You want to make sure that you have that 486 confirmed. That's the one that says, I asked for money, I told you my details, you told me I could have money, yes, I really still want it. It's the confirmation form that tells USAC that services have started and that you do want to commit to those funds moving forward. So again, October 28th on that deadline. We also have a deadline coming on October 29th, which is 120 days after the end of service. It is the Bayer form. So if you have any invoicing that is still open from last year, money that you have not collected, we want to get those forms in by October 29th. You can file for an extension on those forms if you have a reason for that. It's a pretty easy process now in Epic. But those are the two forms that are due here the end of the month. The last form here listed is the Form 500. I list it specifically for those of you who maybe requested funding for Category 2, and now we're finding you have different part numbers coming in than you had originally purchased, or you've moved equipment from one place to another within your district, or also you need to return some funds. So you've asked for some Category 2 funds and it turned out you didn't go ahead with those purchases. The Form 500 is the same form for all three of those services, and that's how we're going to return funds into the pot for Category 2. So just a little bit of reminder on forms there. I also want to make note that the admin window is now open. That is the time that we can go into the Epic system and update our student counts. Please, if you're going in to do that, use your fall housing report or ISB SIS report from October 1st that lists your fall counts. That's the information that is drawn into the system that ISB uses to verify. Also, if you are a CEP school, which is the community eligibility option where all of your students get free and reduced lunch, there is a form that's filled out for that in the spring, and it's done every 3 years. So you're going to need to track down that form. Somebody in your nutrition department should be able to help you with either of those totals. But that's the information that we need for the admin window. It is currently open. If you want to get in there and check it out and update your information, you do have until January 10th. So we've got plenty of time to get in there and update that information. While we're at it, while we talk about validating state counts and information, I want to welcome our new team member, Eric Grocky from the State Board of Education. He is our new ISB State E-Rate Coordinator. And if you have questions and contact information for him is listed here. If you have questions about your verifying your counts or making sure you're lined up with your numbers for ISB, that is who you contact, is now Eric Grocky. Jamie Bader is still there at the agency. She's just moved on to other programs, and so we're happy to have Eric as part of our state E-Rate team. I would suggest tackling the admin updates at the same time that you tackle the 470. So if you want to come to one of my 470 workshops, we will be doing both of those items during that 470 application cycle. So feel free to wait and hold off and do it with me if you want. A little bit more information on the Illinois Classroom Connectivity Project. Hopefully you have all heard this term before, and it is not something new. We are in now year 4 of our offering services as they relate to E-Rate and connectivity in the state. We do have an exciting opportunity this year for our state matching grant. The state matching grant was set aside for special construction as it relates to E-Rate. School districts do have to leverage E-Rate funding in order to get the state match. And so how that works is that you go ahead and submit an application for the state match for the remainder of your funds. For example, if you have a $100,000 project and you are a 60% school discount school district, typically E-Rate covers 60% of your bills. $60,000 of that $100,000 project would be paid for by E-Rate, which left you 40% for the district to pick up the cost. Now with the state matching program that was started by USAC and the FCC and now partnered with the Illinois State Board of Education, your 60% would gain an extra 10%, taking it to 70%, so $70,000 covered by the E-Rate program, and the other 30% can be paid for by the state matching grant. So you would fill out the state application, ask for that other $30,000, and in essence, get your special construction project entirely paid for. Special money here set aside for those school districts who have that as their last hurdle in getting fiber connectivity to your schools is coming up with that local cost, and so support out there for those of you who needed that support. We are expecting a release date for the FY19, which is the 1920 school year application, late this month or early next month. So as soon as we get that out, we'll be sending it out to our listservs and letting you all know about it. I'm expecting it really soon with a proposed timeline that will be requiring you to file a 470 a little bit earlier than what is normal. So the application actually requests you to state who your chosen provider is. And due to the 28-day requirement for ERate, we're going to go ahead and ask that you file your 470 before December 10th. If you are interested in those state matching funds, actually the earlier you could file your 470, the better. Also, the more detail you could provide, the better. It allows for more providers to get the chance to review that application and submit something in return so that you have plenty of choices to choose from. We're expecting that grant will be due mid-January, hence the fact that I'm asking you to file the 470 mid-December, and expecting approval from that grant in early March in time for you to file a 471 by the March 20th expected deadline. So there is a timeline there. If you have school districts that are interested in that state match, please feel free to reach out to me and I can talk to them. We do have a handful of districts open for a last chance opportunity right now. Those are districts who have builds that are going on this school year that they applied for in the last cycle. So there are a handful of those school districts still doing that, but it opens up for general application end of October, early November. So far, I'm not seeing any questions pop up. So if I'm missing something, Brian, jump in. Looks like otherwise, I'm just gonna keep talking. Those of you who know me know that's not really a problem.
I haven't seen anything, so don't worry, you're good.
All right. The statewide application workshops. We are going to go around the state, and by we, I mean yours truly. I do plan to travel the state again this year for the 470 and the 471 workshops. I'm currently scheduling 470 workshops for November, December, and 471 workshops for January, February. The early announcement of the proposed deadlines really helped me to outline a schedule, and it looks like we've got plenty of time this year. I do realize that the 471 is not due until March 20th. However, I really want to get that 471 out of the way for those of you who wear multiple hats and have to deal with online testing as well. So my goal is to kind of wrap up those workshops by the 1st of March and then support people remotely from there. We do have exciting possible conference options this year. So I have worked with the conference planners at the IETC in Springfield in November and at the ICE conference in February to host 470 and 471 application cycles at the end of the day. So I do usually do an ERate information session at each of those conferences. So I've requested to be put at the end of the day and then requested the room into the evening. So if you are planning to attend one of those conferences and you want to get a 2-for-1, and come to the ERate 101 session, followed by the 470 application at Springfield or in Schaumburg, please know that that is an option for you. So looking for opportunities to really reach out and help school districts on days that might work for them. We will be recording at least one of the sessions this year and putting it up. I know the LTC is working on a YouTube page if we don't already have that together. And so we will be showcasing those videos on our YouTube page. If we do not have the opportunity to record a session with the IPA like we did last year, we will definitely do a virtual meeting and go ahead and record it similar to this webinar so we have those opportunities to put online as well. The USAC regional training. So like I mentioned at the beginning, I am out here in Washington, D.C., attending meetings that relate to the regional trainings here in Washington, D.C., but there is a regional training near us. So if you are interested in attending the USAC regional training, it is in Palatine, Illinois, up north in the suburbs at the HarperCollee Conference Center. And so that is October 22nd and 23rd, which is Monday and Tuesday. The way they're running the regional trainings this year, USAC is hosting them, and they're doing a afternoon session on the 22nd that is for beginners. So if you are new to ERate, especially catered trading for you. So that is going to be the 22nd. And then on the 23rd, there will be a full day. And for some of us who've been around doing ERate for a while, we remember the different strands. So some of those strands did beginners and intermediate or advanced sessions. And so they've got those broken down into strands this year. We've got plenty of room at the Palatine training. It's a nice big space there. And so it looked like there was still plenty of room for registration if you're interested to attend. Again, the link is here. You can also find it on the usac.org website. You click on schools and libraries, and then down in the bottom right-hand corner, click on training and outreach, and you can find a link to register right there. So hope to see some of you at that training next week. Updates. Trying not to read the slideshows to you, but what we've got here are a lot of things that are interesting and not all that new, but new to some of us. So please do reach out and see if you need to file that 486 and bear form. They are due here next week. So let's check those out. Again, there are some small changes this year expected in the 470 and 471. Definitely some changes in the types of service. Still not perfect, in my opinion, and so we have some things to work through, but definitely if you're filing those forms on your own and confused by the options that are there, reach out. Do not just assume that you can pick what you picked last year. Please do read through the options and see what best suits your needs. So they've done a little bit of language change on those pull downs for types of service, and we really want to make sure that everybody gets the most options available to them, especially on the 470, so they've got the right correlation between the 470 and 471 on type of service. They are making a really big effort this year to make sure that we have the right types of connectivity portrayed in our ERate data. So you're going to have some outreach and some extra information on that, as well as a lot of detail is being requested in the narrative boxes. So the more information that you can provide about what it is that you need, the better, especially if you're seeking a new kind of service. So if you're looking for lit fiber service and you don't have it now, please say in your narrative box that you are open to lit fiber service with or without special construction. If you are actively looking for a provider that will give you special construction prices with the monthly cost, you should say you are interested in the special construction. I am under the opinion that you should go ahead and say that you are looking for both options. I don't think USAC's going to like it if you just specifically say special construction only. So it looks like we have a question popped up, but I don't know how to get to it. So Brian, just feel free.
All right, the question is from Natalie Wilson. She says, we have done our 486 submitted and it is still in review. We did it on September 10th. Does it usually take this long to review?
It does not usually take this long. So I would go ahead and send however, this is the height of the ERate application cycle year. So if you've done the 486, I would go ahead and submit a ticket in the Epic system and just kind of check on it. Usually the tickets in the Epic system get a faster response than trying to get someone on the phone, but you can do that as well. I always like the Epic system support tickets because then you have record in writing that you reached out and asked. I have heard just in the last couple of days that they're doing a lot of inline reviews now. So people are submitting their 486s or their bear forms and finding another layer or another level of review that they're having to go through. So that might be the case for yours. 486s are usually pretty straightforward. One thing that does flag them in for a special review is if that service start date is not July 1st of the fiscal year, but a different date, sometimes that sends them to manual review. So definitely just send a support ticket request for that and ask them if they need more information from you. A big focus this year on the competitive bidding process, making sure that it's fair and open. We're going to see a lot of requests for looking at a matrix to make sure that everything was up and up in our received bids and comparing them. So please be prepared for that. For those of you who are needing some sort of a Bear extension request, maybe you're doing a spin change or a service product change that has not yet been approved, there is a new Bear extension tool in Epic. And when you go into the old Bear form tool on the old system, it will redirect you if it's anything after 2015. So you'll get a pop-up for that. Just wanting to let you know that is now in the EPC system. Also, there are a couple of different tools and have been for a few years on how to calculate your Category 2 budgets. I'm hearing from USAC that the most accurate tool is there in the EPC system. So that's the one we'll be focusing on this year. The one that is on the USAC website is still there. In most cases, the tools provide the same amount of information. Most of the time they match, but there are cases where they don't. And so please do focus on that EPC tool for the Category 2 budget tool, the one that is there in Epic. We are still waiting for an eligible services list, but we expect to see that anytime. And the one thing that I do want to point out this year that's special, we're actually at the end of the 5-year cycle. So when we started our Category 2 pilot, so this is the first time we've done the Category 2 formula funding out to everyone, that was in FY15. Which means that we are ending the year of our first 5-year cycle. So if you applied for funding in FY15, even if it was just a handful of funding and you still have the bulk there, this is the last year to apply. So please apply this year for next school year. That will close down your cycle of the 5 years, and I don't want anybody to leave money on the table that they were unaware was there. Also, if you have not applied for Category 2 at all, this is the last opportunity to take advantage of it. So if you have not applied at all, this would be the year that you would start your 5-year cycle, but this will be the last year to start that. We're really hoping that they reinstate that pilot. It's been hugely successful, I think, and information from the field, other than everyone would like more money. But I think that we've really put that to good use in a lot of the districts, and so we hope for that to continue. But the FCC has not yet made a ruling on that. As I hinted to at the beginning, we have some proposed dates. I'm pretty excited as somebody who provides support. Not only have they proposed those dates for this year, but they're really working behind the scenes to lock in those dates from here on out. So I think we're maybe going to see this year a March 20th deadline that will be a March 20th deadline from here on out. No more deadline that you're trying to figure out if it's March or April or May. So I'm pretty excited that they're working to lock in those dates, and we'll see what the FCC rules on that as well. Again, just some suggestions from me moving forward. Please provide detail in your narrative boxes. The more detail, the better. You may not list certain product models and types, but you can be very specific when you're listing Category 2 things in. You're looking for a 24-port switch that's power over Ethernet. Just be as detailed as possible to kind of narrow down the field for what you're looking for. It's always nice to kind of use product descriptions for that, but we really don't want to say, quote, a Cisco switch and kind of kick anyone who has HP products out of the market. We really want to leave that open to all providers, but do use those narrative boxes to explain what you want. Especially if you're looking at fiber connectivity or connectivity to new buildings, feel free to list the address of the buildings that you are wanting to connect. And even if you have a preference of where in that building you want to connect, you can be as detailed as to say, hey, I want to connect at this address in the northeast corner of the building. The more detail you can provide, the better. If you're going to get to that level of detail, though, you might consider using an RFP template. And so one of our partners for the Illinois Connectivity Project, Education Superhighway, has some great templates, and I have linked them here. So you might consider using a template for special construction, dark fiber, those kind of things this year. Please leave your options open. It's better to apply for more categories than you want and then see. A lot of those categories also request that you compare bids to show it's most cost effective. So anytime that you are going to have a self-provisioned, which is district owned, or a dark fiber solution, USAC is also going to request you to apply for lit fiber. And I'm hoping that that's an automatic link this year that will allow you to also request the lit fiber, so we don't see anybody caught for that. But you do need to prove that those construction projects are more cost effective than paying a provider a monthly fee. Moving forward, please check your contract end dates. We've run into a lot of school districts this last year whose contracts ended on the day that they signed, which is in February in a lot of cases. And so there's a lapse there between February and July, and we're scrambling to go ahead and get some kind of an extension to take them till June 30th or apply a year earlier so that you can kind of circumvent that 9-month lapse there. So please do check your contract end dates. It's become increasingly more important in the last couple of years. Do consider the state match funding. The funding is there. It has been appropriated. It's no longer a wish and a dream. It does actually exist. So reach out to me if you have questions about that or if that's something that you're interested in. That does take me to the next one that says, if in doubt, ask. Ask me, ask Eric Grocky, ask our friends at Education Superhighway or multiple consultants that the school districts use. Please do reach out if you have questions. In addition, I know we have a couple of consultants that like to join our webinars, and I'm really excited to see them online. Please I help school districts with or without consultants. So please feel free to reach out to your state coordinators if you need help or assistance in your communication with USAC. Also remember, we have a state master contract for Category 2. So you can use that state master contract. There are contract bids for managed networks, managed wireless network solution, cabling solution, as well as product. And so you can reference those state master contracts. You can use them as one of your responses to a bid, or you can go and just cite their 470 that they claimed 4 years ago and go ahead and use that and move forward with that pricing. So it's been really handy for those who forget something on the 470, then they can come through and use that state master contract to go ahead and purchase what they need come the 471. Again, leverage your classroom connectivity partners. We are here to help. So next steps for today. As you leave today, the several things I'm hoping you'll do is go to the EPIC portal. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, you can choose the 486 and FY18 and see if yours is there. So please do that. Go through the process and just make sure that something is there. Again, that's checking the 486 for this current school year. And then if you're concerned that maybe you haven't collected all of your money, I really like the search tool on the ERate Central page. If you go to ERate Central and scroll down, there's a gray box at the bottom that's called Funding History Search Tool, and you can put in your BEN for your district, and it will give you all of your money that has been spent over the last, since the beginning of the program, so last several years, 20 almost. And if you click on that year, it will actually give you the detail of all of the FRNs that were paid for, or approved or not approved, and we'll give you the detail if that money has been spent out or not. So that's a great search tool to kind of see if something has not been collected. And then do talk to your bookkeepers and providers, especially if you go to that ERate Central tool and you find that there's money still on the table. That might not be your fault. It may be in the hands of the provider and they may not have collected it yet, but you just want to make sure that we don't leave any money on the table. This is a really long paperwork process to go through to not collect the money at the end. So please do that. And then of course, start beginning your list of needs moving forward, especially if you have that Category 2 funding left. Granted, you have to come up with your district portion of those funds, but I look at it like a really nice 60 to 70% coupon for some of you guys. So I am open to more questions and answers. I'm not even sure what time it is. I may have taken most of the time. I have a tendency to do that. You can always reach out to me at mfiscus@ltcillinois.org. Check out our newly designed website at ltcillinois.org. Or if you are interested in having a copy of the presentation here, I have created a bit.ly to make it a little bit shorter for you. It is just a shared Google Doc. It is 2 capital R, capital U, capital S, little z, capital K, capital Q. So that is the bit.ly link. Brian, do you see anything else flowing in for questions?
No other questions here, but I have given everyone access to the opportunity to unmute themselves if they'd like to unmute themselves and ask a question now, or they can type it in. It's their choice. So go ahead and give a second here. If you want to ask a question, hit unmute and ask away.
3 cheers for the Embassy Suites internet that held up for us today. I was a little nervous. Okay.
I'm not sure on this, on the amount of wait time. So,
Okay. I'm just going to minimize a little bit. I'm officially finished.
Okay.
You are. So again, any questions, I'll stick on here for a little bit. And then if you have any extra questions that you want to send to me directly by email, that is acceptable too. It looks like I see something. Oh, thank you, Butch.
And don't forget, if you visit ltcillinois.org/webinars, you can see the list of the upcoming webinars that are coming in the near future. We have one every Tuesday right now scheduled from now until the end of the calendar year, and we're working on getting our spring lineup set. As I mentioned before, this was recorded, so I'll send out the recording tomorrow afternoon along with the link to the bit.ly link to the presentation that Mindy shared with you today, as well as an email address so you can contact her if you have any other follow-up questions.
And Brian, if you click on all events, you get to see the webinars, and also when we start scheduling and getting up the events for the 470 and 471s, those will be listed on here too.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Mindy. As always, very informative and action-packed half hour there. So again, I'll send out all the information from today's webinar tomorrow afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you.